So the real estate stats came out for November, and I was really kind of looking forward to seeing how we finished the year out in November, because if you look at the trajectory of real estate, typically January and February are typically slower months. We ramp up in the spring and the summer, and then it kind of holds the line pretty consistently. And then you have a few months between September and November that are usually our slower months. And then you have December that's usually pretty strong. Well, December stats aren't out yet, so we can't talk about it. But what we can talk about is that we did see a little bit of a bump up. And to give you an understanding of what usually happens in November, November is usually probably the worst real estate month of the year historically. September and October, usually you see a fall off in November. Well, this year we had kind of an anomaly in that we had pretty decent summer. If we look at it compared to, the past few years, it was in line, maybe slightly worse than, but in line with the last few summers. And then we got hit with storm number 1, and then we got hit with storm number 2. And not only do those storms disrupt the market, but they disrupt buying interest. So the leading up to the storm is everyone standing on the fence and saying, oh, I don't want to touch the market because I'm spooked, right? I'm afraid. What's going on? I'm scared. I don't want to buy. And then, of course, the ramifications of both these storms, because they actually did have substantial impact. In years past, we would have had any substantial impact storms. So you'd have the week period probably before the storm where everyone's freaking out, no one's buying, and then the storm goes and misses us and everyone jumps right back in. Well, this year we didn't have that. So we had these 2 really bad storms that hit us. So we went from almost 5,000 sales in June, July, and August to 5,800 in May. Then we're hitting the 5,000 number. Then we dropped down to 3,500 for September. To give you an idea, that's a 30% drop month over month in the number of home sales. We held the line with the same number in October, 3,589, so we were around the same. And a lot of people were hoping and expecting that November would bounce back some, and it did. Now, did it bounce back massively? No, but we did see an increase in sales, and historically, November is worse than September and October. This year, however, September and October had those storms, so some of our rebound post-storm and some of that pent-up demand of people deciding to buy after the storms and after everything's cleared out started to show up in November. I think it's going to continue in December. I think our January and February this year are going to be stronger than January and February last year. January and February last year, we had 3,200 sales in January, 4,300 in February. The year before that, we had 4,500 and 4,900. I think we're going to see a better January and February this year because, again, those damaged homes are getting sold and rebuilt. Some of the buyers are coming back. Some of those homes have been remodeled now and are getting put back on the market. And then, of course, we've got a couple more months of cleanup, areas starting to look normal again, some people starting to come back to communities. All those things will be a positive increase, and I think December will be better. So to recap, November saw 3,761 home sales, about a couple hundred, 5 or 6% point increase over last month. Average sale price of $470,314. Now that is the lowest number that we've seen this year, and that's expected. 507 in June, down to 470 in November. A lot of that, again, is some of those damaged homes pulling prices down, buyers being more aggressive in their negotiations because of the storms, sellers maybe accepting a little bit less to move on. All of those things contribute. But another positive thing, we were seeing inventory rising. We saw around 3 months for most of the year, went up to 4 in August, 5 in September and October. It dropped back down to 4.7. So to put that into perspective, that's a pretty balanced real estate market, still very healthy overall. And we're in a pretty good place going into 2025 based on the November stats to do better, assuming, again, no major storm impacts than we did in 2024. Fingers crossed, obviously, for a hurricane-free season in the second half of the year. But so far, things look like they're back trending in a more positive direction. We've taken the hit of the storms, and now things are starting to slowly but surely normalize. And that isn't going to happen overnight. That'll take some time. But hopefully these stats have been helpful.